Thank you. So I'm Laura Pritter-Brune. I work for Greater Cambridgeshire Planning, which is a shared service between South Cambridgeshire and Cambridge City. If you go to the next slide. So just get some stats up there for everyone to see sort of the area we cover and the sort of numbers, so the planning applications and comments we receive. And on the right hand side, it's just how many listed building conservation areas, the areas that we're looking at, the TPOs and Article 4s. So we're dealing with quite sort of a large amount of data in quite a large area. And obviously you've got South Cambs, which is like the donut really around Cambridge. And I think it is the only English district planning that completely encircles another council. So it does kind of make sense that we become a shared service really for planning. If you go to the next slide. Okay, so when we were formed back in 2019, we came together as a shared service, and then we were kind of getting all our processes and everything together, and then March 2020 we all were sent home. So it created a massive problem for us. We had two different teams working in different ways, and we needed to bring those together sort of quite quickly. We had really sort of differences in ways of working. There was procedures that everyone had on bits of paper at home that they made their own notes on the different things in different ways. We had two different council networks because they're not unitary, it's still two separate councils. And the data quality and access to performance data just wasn't really good enough. And the data quality, I think, that I really want to sort of highlight today, particularly as now we're on this digital journey with ODP. It's really kind of shown just we need this good quality data and we need that going forward. So it's not just correcting the back data, the historic data, it's really looking at what we're doing now to make sure that any data going into the system is consistent and in a really good state. So I wanted to share really what we've come up with and how we're using that going forward. So if you can go to the next slide. Okay, so the solution is we created a planning wiki on SharePoint. And this is growing by the day. It's becoming more and more of a sort of huge resource for us. It's accessible, it's searchable, it's all controlled by different versions. We can embed different contents. If there's a new starter, we can just sort of point them in this direction and then do some training and sort of hold their hand step by step. And it's just been this sort of amazing resource for us. So this is it. This is our front home wiki. And you can see we've got some performance stats. We've got some recently updated pages. So if there's any updates, people can immediately see. We've got some quick links. So we've got our organisation chart, communication standards, so things that we kind of want people to notice. And then within each subdirectory, we hold all the procedures, literally step by step. So if I just click on applications for planning, you can see here that we have every step of the process. It's all color coded, so depending on what role you're in, you know what you're meant to be clicking on. So if you just go into one of these, you can see here it's screenshots, and they are literally step by step of what you need to be doing in order to do that step of the process. One area that we've recently been doing some training in, which was enforcement, planning compliance, and you can see we've put videos in there as well of their spatial training. So if anyone missed it or if they want to go back and just look again, they can. We've got things like land charges, so we've even embedded Ghana's in there because they've sent a digital copy now, so we've got that. So it really is kind of like one-stop shop for anything we're doing. Now we're looking a lot at trees at the moment, like everybody else. Our tree data, we've got Cambridge City and South Cambs District Council trees, both in very different states. We are using uniform for both. So now we're going through and we're actually capturing everything within the trees, all the information they need, and then hopefully we'll be able to, as we go on, be able to capture that data. Just another thing I wanted to highlight as well, we've got a reports gallery. So in here, we've got all of our KPIs. You can see our performance comes up, and this is live data coming out of the uniform system. I'm screen sharing, it might be a little bit slow to load, but it comes up eventually. So, and say this is quite interactive as well, so you can click on it and see different stats. So we've sort of built it, but it's like anything, still a work in progress. I've got some sort of ideas on what we'd like to do next. We're very much looking at how our officers are using GIS. So we'd like to do some GIS training and create a little section on here on sort of how you can use it to the best ability depending on what you're doing. We're also looking at possibly creating a members portal. So for our training for like planning committees and things like that, we'll have a section so for members to go into, and they can see some sort of top tips, they can see some training just to assist them going forward after sort of their face-to-face training. I think that's probably everything. I mean, there's loads in here, but I won't keep boring you with it. I'll stop sharing my screen.
It's great, Laura. I love how organised that is. The colour coding.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned we also ISO 9001 compliant now. So on the back of having the wiki, we've managed to sort of get a quality management system that we've now been certified. So we've had an audit going through all of our procedures and everything checked like that. So but that sort of just helps us on that continual improvement journey.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Has anyone got any questions or want to talk any more about that with Laura? Tom?
Yeah, brilliant, Laura. Can I just ask one question around the training? Is all the content your own content, or do you sort of link out to any other sources?
It's mostly our own content. We have put some sort of links on there for useful sites. I'm trying to think particularly around sort of conservation, B&E. We put some links in there. So, you know, it's like, if you want to know more, read this, then it takes you off. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jan.
Yeah, this looks amazing. We've got something similar. We use Microsoft Teams to create our sort of manual. It's got lots of folders and bits of data, but it's nowhere near this sort of pretty and organized. The graphs and the sort of metrics that you've got in there, are they something that's generated within SharePoint, or are you using like Power BI or something external to create those?
So this is where I really could have done with my technical resource. I can certainly find out. I think it's Chart.js. So it's running off the uniform application server and pulling the data down. We've created some sort of warehouse tables with Enterprise to make it quicker. So it's not reading the sort of live data, but they're updated like every hour. So Power BI was looked at. We're still trying to work out as a authority what we're doing with licensing around Power BI. So because we haven't been able to publish the data using Power BI because not everyone has licenses. So we haven't been able to take that route, although that would have probably been an easier route for us. But we're still waiting to hear what we're doing as an authority.
Great, thanks. And we had a question from Andrew as well in the chat. What kind of officer capacity was required to get to this stage and to maintain it?
So we already had quite a lot of procedures, like we say, and it has been a work in progress probably over 2 years now. We came up with the idea, we built it, and then we've kind of created sort of super users within each area team to say, right, can you be responsible for getting this up to date, getting your procedures on, we'll hold your hand. So we've got 2 system officers that have been working on building particularly like the dashboards and things like that, and that has been quite a large chunk of work, especially to get it as pretty as it is. So yeah, it's certainly an investment in time, but I would say it's 100% worth it once you get to this stage and you're really just kind of building on it now. It really is very useful, and all council staff have, or all the planning staff have buy-in. So they really, really want this. And so they will, nice thing is you can comment at the bottom. So if you're reading a process, you're following a process and you actually think, oh, hang on a minute, there's something missing, there's a stage missing. You can just type in a comment and that comment gets sent through then to the person that wrote that page, and then they can go back and review it. So it's sort of quite interactive as well.
Brilliant, thank you. One more from Richard. Comment to say this looks great. Was it led on from within planning or IT?
Planning. Yeah, so it was quite because the shared service had come together. It was very much like, right, we have a problem here. What are we going to do? We really need something. And because we were all working from home, we needed something that was going to be a central, easy resource. And so we did ask IT to come up with some sort of ideas for us so we could work with them and what platforms would be best to host it. And we came up with this one in the end. And then, yeah, we're now trying to roll it out a little bit across the council. So we're showing other service areas like revenues and benefits. They've just sort of started one. Our shared waste service are building theirs at the moment. So hopefully it will be quite consistent across the board then.
Good stuff. All right, thanks, Laura. That's really good to hear all about that. Thank you. And thanks for all the questions and comments. It's really good to hear as well.